Back to the Bordas and Bordas hotline on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on Pittsburgh CW 412-575-2600. A lot of tweets in. Joe Zubid said Antonio Brown just needs to shut his mouth and play football. KWS says maybe they can see if Matt Morris is available. You know, Herta would love the veteran presence. I have a question, though, that I think is a legitimate one. And Nick Kingham, I didn't like the fact he got demoted. I don't know that any of these starters has distinguished themselves in being a consistent starter. Every one of them have flaws. One thing about Kingham, Gene, is that he had 6 outings, and I thought his whip and some of the other statistical numbers
FIP also was very good.
Better than most. Why not take a guy like Chad Kuhl, put him to your bullpen, help your bullpen, which is a bunch of young guys, inexperienced, who have not gotten the job done. I'd rather kick Kingham there and put Kuhl there.
I agree, Bob. And this is the 3rd time that King has been sent down without cause, in my view. What the Pirates are trying to do with the young part of their rotation, Tyon, Kuhl, Williams, they're trying not to shake their confidence. Those 3 guys think they're established starters. They're not. Jamison Tyon was the 2nd player picked in the draft. His big league record is 16-16 with a 4 ERA. To me, that's not an established big league starter. It's a guy who has 32 decisions, that's all. So, I mean, when you're in a situation like the Pirates are, I don't think it's that complicated that you put your best people out there, and they're not doing it. If
you're trying to win and win now, as they say, then, you know, Meadows should be playing every single night. Absolutely. There shouldn't be a 4-man rotation. He deserves it. Ride with him as much as you can. Same is true with Nick Kingham, and I don't think they did that. They missed that opportunity. Let's go to Tim in South Park. Hey, Tim, how are you?
Hey, Bob. Devastating loss last night, probably the worst of the season. I have to say it's coming down to Herta at this point. I don't like his moves. I don't like him keeping the relievers in when they don't have it on a certain night. Josh Bell, they haven't corrected his throwing ability. That's little league stuff that he threw up a disaster again tonight. Polanco's hitting ability. I mean, this is coaching. This is absolutely coaching. The pitcher last night did the correct thing, stood up for the team, and they blew it up in his face. And that comes down to Herta. You've got to get rid of the pitcher when he's not performing. And Herta continues to blow up.
Conversely, he should not have gotten rid of Joe Musgrove. I don't care what the situation. It wasn't like,
I agree.
You know, he was a starter who had 88 pitches, right, Tim? So you're in a situation where he hits one guy deliberately. So it wasn't like he was wild. He did that to stick up for his teammate. Then there was an error, and then there was a hit. Okay, is that enough to take him out? I don't think so, especially when you know your bullpen has been that erratic. So thanks for the call. Appreciate that. Gene, I want to ask you about Musgrove. Some people say that he cost them the game because he threw at a batter when you have a 5-0 lead, and he, quote, woke up the Diamondbacks. I say that's a bunch of baloney. I say it's about what you're supposed to make pitches. Santana made no pitches.
We had the same discussion a week ago where we blamed the guy, 2 guys, for not doing exactly that. So you can forget about that. And as for Herta, the Pirates have problems, many problems. Herta is not in the top 20.
No, they have talent issues, number one, and they you know, they're in a situation where they're not going to bring people in to help them, and they should. They need it. You got to spend some money to do that. Let's go to Tom in Hill District. What's up, Tom? How you doing?
How you doing, Bob? How you guys doing?
Good, thanks.
I want to ask you guys a question, but I also want to say something. What do you think? I know the season ain't started yet, but I just want to know, what do you think the Pitt football team should do this year that they did last year? Because to me, last year they played abysmal. So, and also I want to ask you, when was the last time they even won a championship?
When you're talking about football now, you're looking that far ahead to a sport we haven't talked about in months. Is that what you're talking about? I guess yes. Pitt football. Do you know, I mean, what they haven't done is win enough.
I think the answer is win. What they should do this year that they didn't do last year, win more games than they won last year. I think that's it.
I think they could, too. I think that's a winnable coastal division of the ACC. But
it's great being in the coastal division.
It is.
I was down by the boardwalk today. It was great. Yeah,
you got to take advantage of it when you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joe in Toronto, Canada. What's up, Joe?
Toronto, Ohio, Bob.
Okay, I didn't know there was a Toronto, Ohio. It said Toronto. Yeah, I want to defer to the big boy.
It's over here by Stumble. You was over here a couple
That's right,
times.
but you know what? I don't remember what country I'm in half the time, so go ahead.
Hey, I agree with you guys. I'm a diehard Pirate fan, and I'm just so sick of watching this team. It's been like this for years. I agree that Nunning's got to spend some money and get some above-average ball players in there. They're not going to get the top free agents, but they got to try at least to get some proven ball players in here.
And the market this year was falling. They had a chance to get bargain basement prices on some pretty good players.
And another thing, I want to see the Huntington Hurdle thing done. We need fresh ideas, different looks at things. You know, them guys been here for how long now? Over 10 years?
11 for Huntington.
I mean, enough is enough. If this is a Steeler organization and they never made the playoffs 2-3 years in a row, they'd be calling for that coach to be gone. So the Pirates need to get a fresh look at things. Different coach, different
Let's get Gene's comment on that. Thank you for the call, Gene.
Bill Cowher went 3 years in a row in the late 90s, didn't make the playoffs.
Got an extension.
Got an extension. Hurdle and Huntington just both signed extensions. They're here for another 3 years after this year. And if you think Bob Nutting is going to pay their salaries while they're not here, you can forget it.
All right, let's go to line 1, and that would be Bob in Clearfield. Hey, Bob, welcome to the Sports Call. How are you?
Thank you for taking. You know, the Pittsburgh Pirates are a mediocre organization, play a mediocre baseball, and will do so for the foreseeable future. Major League Baseball will not do anything to demand that the Nuttings change their philosophy as far as how they run their organization. The reason is simple. They got bigger problems elsewhere. Major League Baseball has bigger problems elsewhere. The Oakland A's need a new ballpark. The southern teams, Tampa and Miami, have historically had hard times drawing people. So I believe that is where their focus is going to be in the near future, and they may in the end have to look for places to move those other three franchises before they consider doing anything with the Pirates situation.
But again, the whole thing is a product of baseball not having an equitable system for all teams to operate under. I've never thought anything other than that. If you have a system that allows one team to spend $300 million and another to spend whatever they want, how are you going to be competitive, Gene? I don't know what else to say.
No, I think we've covered that on this show at least 100.
What can baseball do to the Pirates?
No, it's not up to baseball to manage the Pirates. I mean, you know, the Pirates' problem is not contingent on Oakland or Tampa or Miami or anybody else. It's contingent on them. They signed on to this system. These are the rules they want to play by. They're not getting it done.
We have an interesting tweet here from Brian Bolton before we go to break, Gene. He says, the Pirates stink, but how would you cover the team if they were in the AL Central instead of Cleveland? They would be in first place.
Well, certainly, if your team is competing against other teams and their situation is differently, you would cover them differently.
But also, it doesn't change the fact that they would be under 500. And yes, you may be in first place, but I remember 1997 in the so-called freak show. They took advantage of a division that was so bad that they could be bad and yet win it. So, I don't know. We're going to take a break, Gene. Joe and Mary coming up next. And more of your calls are right here on Pittsburgh CW. Don't go away.